Some members of the state legislature are now urging Attorney General Drew Edmondson to get involved and to sue the U.S. government and challenge the legality of the health care legislation. Joining me now is Pat McGuigan from CapitolBeatOK.com, and let's go ahead and take a look at Drew Edmondson's response, which you got when you asked him about this issue. More than 2 months ago, I told Congress that Oklahoma and several other states have serious concerns about the federal health care bill. Our office joined other attorneys general offices from around the country on a conference call just yesterday to discuss ideas and legal strategies to protect our states from unwanted federal intrusion that potentially places us at a disadvantage. We are reviewing applicable statutes and case law to determine the best course of action. Again, that from Oklahoma Attorney General Drew Edmondson. So what's your response to his response?
I think it's thoughtful. It's a sign that it's a serious issue. The questions that are being raised are based in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. If you read that, some of the language is archaic, a little bit old-fashioned, but if you read it, you can understand it. It's a specific enumeration of the powers of the government. Now, the powers of the government, the federal government, have grown over time, but it's always a jump ball. Every increase in government power, whether the Supreme Court will say it's okay. So ultimately, this may wind up being reviewed, and based on his statement, I think Drew Edmondson, being a pretty good lawyer, is probably looking at this and saying, you know, does this pass muster, and what will the court say?
Well, he's also talking about that potentially places us at a disadvantage. Do you know what specifically he's talking about there?
Well, for one thing, there's $128 million a year in Medicare and Medicaid that the legislative analysts say will come off from what Oklahoma is presently receiving. And the Republicans in their press conference today in the Senate caucus room projected that at over $1 billion over the next decade. So it's like Everett Dirksen said, $1 billion here, $1 billion there, pretty soon it's real money.
We should point out, too, that Attorney General Drew Edmondson is a Democrat, and so this isn't entirely politicized along partisan lines. Right now, there are 5 pieces of legislation that are kind of working their way through the legislature. Let's talk about those.
Okay, real quickly, there's SJR 58 is an opt-out provision. It asserts a right for the state of Oklahoma to simply step outside of this new system that's being created. SJR 64 is a piece of legislation that would direct the Attorney General on behalf of the people of Oklahoma to take the step that today he was asked to take. Okay. But that legislation was already around. SJR 59 would lead to a popular vote along the same lines, asserting that it's the sense of the people of Oklahoma, they don't have to go along with this. Similarly, HJR 1054, same kind of measure, if anything, a little more aggressive. And that's from Representative Mike Ritz, who's actually a medical doctor, one of the 2 in the legislature. And then finally, an interesting wrinkle is HCR 1050. It's a House concurrent resolution that encourages that Congress, instead of imposing this state by state, turn all of the federal money available for health care into block grants, send it to the states.
And let the states decide.
And let the states decide how to use it. And it would be, you know, based on population and apportionment. And that's kind of an interesting idea. It's an echo of the Reagan days, you know, the 1980s when block grants caught on.
All right. Thank you, Pat McGuigan. And whether you're for or against this, most of us do have an opinion about the health care measure, and we'd like to know what yours is. We're asking, how do you think the passage of the health care reform bill will affect your family? Positive, negative, or you just don't know enough yet? All you have to do is text A, B, or C to the number you see there, 79640. And for more on the health care bill, click on news9.com.